Claire Pearsall, as I say, is joining me today. There's a lot going on, home and abroad. Let's start with abroad, though, Syria. A lot of people asking how the hell did these rebels win so quickly? Who are they? Who's going to seize power? What's going to happen next? These are big issues. Do you think this is stuff that British people should worry about, be concerned about, welcome? What do you think?
Should be worried about, I think, is the first thing. There are a lot of people that will only have heard of Syria in passing. They don't entirely know where it is. They don't know the groups of people involved. However,
we've got lives. We've got supermarket shops and jobs to do. We've got things to do.
But it is vitally important, given the situation in the Middle East at the moment. It's not the most stable area. To have yet another state going into rebel control doesn't help anybody. The sort of security across the nation is at risk. It really is. And we don't know, from this group that's taken over, HTS, we don't know what their intentions are. And I think that is really concerning. This is so quick that we don't know quite how to
This has come out of nowhere.
It.
It's almost like a lot of our sort of security services and things like that. Well, it's like what happened with South Korea. No one had a clue what. Now that's still going on. Why the hell this guy isn't being impeached for deposing martial law? Who knows? But it is fascinating when people think, like, well, you know, why does this matter to me? Well, one of the reasons why Assad is currently with his family in Moscow seeking asylum there. And by the way, his wife, well, is British-born. Yeah, we don't want your love. Don't come here. You ain't welcome. You chose your side when you decided to share a marital bed with a brutal torturer and murderer. So, bye-bye, love. You're not one of us. But that's only been able to happen because these rebel forces, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, as you say, HTS, they were able to take advantage of this power vacuum because Iran's sort of forces have been utterly destroyed in terms of Hezbollah in Lebanon, so that's by Israel. So Iran support Hamas taking on Israel. Hezbollah get in from Lebanon, okay, it's all very much in that region. Israel pretty much destroys Hezbollah forces. They're the ones, it was Hezbollah militia who were helping Assad out in parts of Syria. Russia losing, 3,000 men a day in quite many places in Ukraine, fighting, basically fighting to the death there. Those losses there mean that, of course, Russia doesn't have the forces and the military, to just send over to help Assad. Massive implications of that, though, for military in Moscow, of course, because everyone will say, oh, why on earth? Why on earth has Putin been helping Assad over the years? Because he's got a Mediterranean port for his navy. And so he'll no longer have that. Possibly, it depends. We understand the rebels have said they're not going to touch the air base or the naval base there. We shall see what happens. I mean, it is a very complicated business, and this is where you realise these axes of evil. Okay, this is the key thing. When we say we need to take on the Putins, the Iranians, the North Koreans also helping the Ukrainian war, the Chinese, there is an axis of evil, and they will work with or against, depending on what suits their mood, Islamist terrorists at any time. And that's the thing. But we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, look, they could set up a government, there'd be democracy, things would go well. We were hopeful of that, weren't we, in Libya? 2011,
Afghanistan.
And pretty much everywhere. Egypt, none of them have worked out. I think Tunisia, the most vaguely functioning Arab Spring country. I'm not hopeful. I'm not hopeful. In which case, all the people who are currently apparently on the border wanting to go back into Syria, they may be coming back out again and heading further west if it all goes as badly as every other country in the Arab Spring.
Well, that's it. And it's not just one group involved. Remember, this is a civil war that's been going on for at least the last 14 years. And there are several groups involved. So it's not quite as clear-cut as only having one rebel group. You've got a bunch of Turkish-backed, the Syrian National Army, which is the military wing, which is Turkish-backed, which is north of Idlib on the Turkish border. And then you've also got on the Jordanian side the Syrian Free Army, which is the American-backed forces. And there are other groups in the middle as well. So it's not really that straightforward. But one of the interesting parts was the arrogance of Bashar al-Assad by thinking none of this will ever happen, so I don't need to pay my forces very much. And he was paying them sort of $30 a month to be a soldier, and then wondering why his forces have now fallen apart because Russia isn't there to back them up anymore.
Absolutely. Can I just say, as always, utterly fascinated by the BBC's analysis of these things. John Simpson. I've just discovered John Simpson's blocked me. I mean, he's a journalist who's blocking another journalist.
Wow.
Never insulted him, never abused him, never been rude, just pointing out some of the madness of what he said. He tweeted yesterday, Bashar al-Assad has done many evil things, but he's weak rather than wicked. His family members, Iran, and especially Russia, told him what to do, and he feebly did it. In person, I found him meek and anxious to please, the reverse of the traditional dictator. I pointed out that he was really nice to his mum and also made a great Victoria sponge. You know, yes. When he wasn't brutally torturing, murdering, imprisoning millions of people in his country. I mean, this man... Oh, he's just a victim. No, I'm sorry, he had the option, as someone who'd spent most of his life in the West, married to a woman born in Britain, he trained as an eye doctor, for God's sake. He could have responded to the peaceful uprising in 2011 with, let's deliver some kind of democracy, let's do it stably. But no, he decided to imprison people. There are people right now still in prisons who've been there since then and beforehand, who underground prison, believe like 7 layers down.
Yes, yeah.
The Red Prison, just outside Damascus. I mean, the BBC now apologising for sodding brutal dictators. And then when someone calls it out and points out how absurd that is, blocking another journalist. I mean, grow up, love.
But they need to see it for what it is. You've got 7 floors of underground prison, including children being held.
You've seen that picture of the toddler coming out?
It's awful. I mean, absolutely hideous. There was a story...
Well, presumably, when you have female prisoners and you rape them, presumably some of them get pregnant.
But also there was a 13-year-old boy who was kneecapped because they believed he was a rebel. He was walking home from school one day. Yeah. That was his great crime.
Yeah, but again, how much better the next lot going to be? Because, again, Islamist fighters... What about the ISIS fighters coming to Britain? Because if they're free from the camps, they're going to be freeing people from the camps, OK? Yeah. They're their mates. What is the record on people who are of extreme Islamist beliefs, the ones who want the caliphate, the ones who genuinely think that anyone who is Jewish or a Christian or a non-believer is an infidel who deserves to die? Hi, that's pretty much most of the people in this country. Oh, by the way, even Western Muslims. Yeah, you're for the chop too, according to these people. I mean, I'm sorry, how many of these are going to turn up on our shores, given that we basically have an open border policy?
Well, that's the real worry, because nobody's going to know where they are, nobody's going to know who they are, they're going to be set free, and how many borders are they going to cross? They're going to go into Turkey and come across Europe.
And what do you reckon on Shamima Begum? Hands up who wants Shamima back? ISIS bride? No one knows where she is right now.
You're doing a good job of selling her.
I'm just saying, I'm getting genuinely, if you think, oh, it's something happening over there, I don't have to worry about it, I've got Christmas presents to buy, I've got Monday morning at work, I don't have time for this, trust me, this is going to impact us. Unless it all goes swimmingly well and they set up a lovely coalition government and they have wonderful democracy, it's all just fine. What do you think the chances of that are? Come on. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Tell me I'm wrong. I'm used to it. I've got a husband and a kid. 0344 499 1000 is the number to call. It's 0344 499 1000. We'll get some of your messages on text and on Twitter as well. Let's also get back to what's going on here. Yvette Cooper's facing a role. 10 police chiefs have written to her about funding plans, basically saying, you're not giving us enough money. They've been given a load more money. Everyone's got more money, but not enough money because they fear they're going to have to be job losses or services cuts. Let's face it, they can't cut the services any more than they already have. But their problem is they've been given over a 4% pay rise, which is over the sort of 2-point-something% they were expecting to have to pay out. So they haven't got the budget for the overinflation pay rise that police officers got. OK, police officers are not well paid. They are not living the life of Riley. In real terms, they will still have had a pay cut over the last few years or 10 years. We accept that. However, no one in joined-up thinking decided to make sure there was enough money to pay them all, as well as keep things going. Ta-da!
I mean, who'd have thought it? This government and yet another accounting error. I mean, they're full of it.
Blame this on the Tories as well.
Yeah, but we didn't give the inflation-busting pay rises that this lot are giving out. So
again, we talk about inflation-busting 4% when inflation has been at 10%.
But if you look at the general pot of money in the United Kingdom, how much of it has gone to the public sector? Quite a lot, especially to train drivers, which is always my big bugbear.
I've still got that. Yeah, the train drivers thing is still really,
it's still
nothing against train drivers.
No.
I just don't know why you're paid more than surgeons.
I'd like a service to go with the train drivers.
Yes, call me old-fashioned. Well, look, added to this, we've got Rachel Reeves. She's off to address EU finance ministers, first time since Brexit. I don't know why you're at an EU meeting, love, because you're not part of the EU. Sorry, did you not get that memo? Did you not get that memo, Rachel? No, we left the EU. I know you're desperate to get back. I know you don't respect, along with the Prime Minister, you don't actually respect democracy, but we made that decision. Oh, no, apparently closer UK and EU ties would boost growth. They think we're going to boost growth by basically allying ourselves and dragging ourselves down with the French and German economies, which are on their knees. Collapsed political system, collapsed economic system. But yeah, that's what will boost growth. Are these people insane?
Well, yes, and people like you and I were pointing out that a Labour government would always want closer ties with the EU. We were told we were scaremongering, we were doommongers, and it wasn't anything like that, and they respected Brexit. They clearly don't. They are so bitter about the 2016 referendum. They want those closer ties, and they're working really hard to get it. Absolutely pointless, isn't going to grow the country.
Absolutely. I'm going to talk about NIMBYism later on as well, about Angela Rayner. I actually rather agree with her. Let's put people wanting homes above bats and newts protection, which is what basically happens right now. But just finally, bin collections. Last Friday, sneaked out very cunningly, or Friday a week ago actually, it's been discovered, that there was a plan to require, it was something the Tories, again, one of the many things the Tories said they do, and they can get round to until though, because they're useless. But the Labour government has quietly shelved these plans to require councils, it doesn't matter what you spend your money on, but you're required to do a fortnightly, at least fortnightly bin collection of the black bins, not the recycling, the actual main rubbish. That's been dumped now. It looks like it's going to be every 3 weeks. Well, I mean, that's already what's happened in most of Wales, under most councils in Wales. Ours are only collected every 2 weeks. Oh, my God, the scrabble to make sure everything is taken away. So I live in a communal house. There are loads of flats. It's just an absolute nightmare. And in summer, the smell, we are surrounded by... I had a fox on the pavement this morning walking to the train. Literally, this fox, I mean, a metre away from me, looking at me. I'm like, at least pretend to be scared before you go and ransack another very, very overflowing bin. Yes. I mean, like, they don't even care. I mean, eventually, why don't we just give, let foxes just take over everything, in our major cities? But this is the sort of stuff, this is meat and potato stuff. I tell you, I will cast my vote next time round purely on the issue of bin collections.
As somebody that spent 8 years as a local councillor, the things that people want you to do, make sure their bins are collected, make sure potholes are fixed, and parking issues. Those were the issues.
I think you're fine. You should include painting all the zebra crossings in rainbow colours and being more inclusive. Is at the top of everyone's list, Claire.
Yeah, it wasn't at the top of my list, that's for sure.
Didn't
I made sure
that memo. Anyway,
weekly collections.
Anyway, I mean, is it that much? Do you know what really beeps me off? Is we are the ones who pay full council tax, right? Okay. And so ours only collect every 2 weeks if the men bother. Hi, Viola, if they bother to turn up that week. The local council estate, theirs are collected twice a week because there's so much they can't. Yeah. Those massive big bits. Yeah, they're collected twice a week.
You pay for that.
Yeah, I know. Well, mine are in. Yeah, I'm just saying. But they don't pay full council tax. I'm just saying. So anyway.